in docket 24-057-02. Why don't we start with appearances for the applicant?
My name is Jennifer Clark. I'm counsel for Dominion Energy, and I have with me the company's witnesses, Austin Summers, Jason Miggy, and Brad Simons.
Thank you very much. And for the division?
Thank you. Patricia E. Schmid and Patrick Griecu with the Attorney General's Office representing the division. The division's witness today is Matthew Pernicoli.
Thank you very much. Okay, so one of the reasons we started late. I have a couple preliminary matters, and they have to do with logistics of this hearing for the sake of efficiency. So let me tell you what my thinking is. Because, well, let me just say it this way. Specifically, I think we found the submission that DEU filed on April 11th, 2024 very helpful, and we appreciate it. But the commission still does have some additional questions. They're pretty specific, so that's kind of where I'm going. So bear with me on this. I propose that instead of calling and swearing individual DEU witnesses one at a time, we skip the witness's individual planned presentation, assuming such was going to be given, and instead convene sort of a panel as I see them here now. And I can swear each one individually in, and then the questions can be posed directly to the panel, who then can decide who's best equipped to answer the question. And I think that would work also for DPU to the extent you'll have questions for these witnesses that wouldn't hamstring you too much. Do you agree with that?
I agree. We would be fine with that. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Clark, what?
Yeah, that's totally fine. We would be happy to forego summaries. The only other question I would have is if you would entertain a motion to admit the pre-filed testimony exhibits and everything else.
Yes,
I
was going to get there.
Okay, great.
Those are the little things I had to think about to make sure that we were getting that through.
Perfect.
Okay, so we'll stay with this proposition for now, and then with respect to DPU, since it's only one witness, Mr. Pernicoli, he could stay at the table or come up. I'll swear him individually, and then he would be available. He can make whatever presentation he'd like, or not, and will be subject to questions similarly, but only you can answer them. You can't push it off to somebody else. Is that okay with DPU?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to call housekeeping issues. We do have information that you would like to have admitted into evidence, and I'm sure DPU does as well. If you'd like to make a motion to achieve that, please go ahead.
Absolutely, thank you. The company would move for the admission of the application accompanying exhibits DEU 1.0, 2.0 to 2.01, 3.0 to 3.02, 4.0 to 4.01, and we would also move for the admission of the submission of supplemental information with accompanying exhibits DEU 5.0 through 7.0.
And for clarification, the last, the submission of supplemental information was filed April 11th, 2024.
Correct, yes. Thank
okay.
you.
And DPU, any response to that motion?
No objection.
Okay, thank you. Motion is granted.
Thank you.
Before we continue down this road, does DPU have a similar motion?
Yes, DPU would like to move for the admission of its pre-filed information, particularly the confidential comments and redacted comments that it filed on February 16th, 2024.
Okay. DEU, any response?
We have no objection.
Okay, the motion is granted. Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Okay, confidential information. As you know, this is an open proceeding. Certain information has been designated confidential, as was just alluded to, because nobody knows what the questions are going to be. I just want to bring to everyone's attention in advance, if a question sounds like it is getting close to requiring a response that would be what is claimed as confidential information, please bring that to everyone's attention so that we can stop and do what needs to be done, if anything. Is that clear? Okay. That's all I have on logistics beyond kind of the reformatting of this. Is there anything else anybody has preliminarily?
No.
Okay. So before we get going, I don't know if DPU is going to have any questions for Dominion, but do we need to take a break to reorient ourselves to this new format so that people can kind of recenter? We can take 5 minutes.
The DPU does not request a break, but thank you for
Okay, yeah, that was
asking.
specifically for you in case you wanted to ask questions.
No, we're
Okay.
fine, proceeding.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and begin the matter then? Why don't you introduce each witness, starting with Mr. Summers, and we'll stop, I'll swear him, so forth and so on, okay?
Perfect,
So
we'll
please
do it.
proceed.
The company will offer the following witnesses. The first is Austin Summers.
Good morning, Mr. Summers.
Good morning.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Our second witness is Jason McGee.
Good morning, Mr. McGee. Good
morning.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And our final witness is Brad Simons.
Good morning, Mr. Simons.
Good morning.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. I think to follow kind of the traditional path, Division, do you have any questions for any of these three witnesses?
The division does not at this time.
Okay. Okay, well then I have some questions for you. And again, because you don't know what these questions are and I'm not quite sure who's going to answer the questions, I'll pose them and I'll let you all decide who should answer them. I will ask for the benefit of Brooke that you don't all answer them at the same time, otherwise she'll tell you to stop. So just take your time and we'll walk through this. Okay. So this is about the kind of metes and bounds of the current tariff. And what we're looking for is, can you confirm that there is nothing in the current tariff which prohibits a customer using gas at any pressure for their own use after that customer receives the gas from the DEU meter?
I think I'll take a crack at that one. I just want to make sure I understand
Yeah, please
the
do.
question.
Yes.
So the way I'm hearing that is that if there are, if there's a customer, maybe I'm not hearing it right at all. There is, the tariff says that if, in relation to what happened at Snowbird, prior to this project, they had 1 meter that was measuring the gas, and then as it passed through that, there was a split, and one went high pressure, and then the other one was regulated down and provided service at an intermediate high pressure at an IHP level. I don't think there's anything in the tariff that prevents that from happening that way. But as Mr. McGee, I think, could probably testify to more, the way that the project was designed enhanced the safety and the reliability and the ease of being able to work on those 2 meters in the future. So it was a better design the way that it ended up.
Okay, and I want, Mr. McGee, if you have something you'd like to add to that, but before we get there, so I'm talking more about the previous arrangement as opposed to the current arrangement, and maybe, I'm sorry, I didn't make that clear. Would that change your answer at all?
No, I think that there was nothing in the tariff that precluded the company from having that meter set the way that it was
Okay, I think,
in the original
I think that gets exactly to
Agreement.
where I'm going. So in essence, the previous arrangement was not in violation of the tariff.
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. McGee, I'm sorry, you've been patient. Did you have anything you wanted to add on this point? No. Okay. No. That's okay. Is your mic on?
It is now,
Great.
but no.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's that question. So now I want to look at Exhibit 5.0. And for the record, that Exhibit 5.0 was with the April 11th, 2024 filing. And this is where I wish we had, it up on the screens, but I'm going to do a lot of pointing, and I'll try to, for the record, make it as clear as I can. Specifically, let's look in what I'm calling the upper left-hand corner of the exhibit, and that's right below the legend. So it's this, in the new building, what I'll also call the new building, which is the upper left-hand corner of Exhibit 5.0. So I'm trying to orient you and the court reporter. So with the witnesses, are we oriented correctly?
Yes.
Yes, okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it. We had an offer to put it up on the TV, but let's see if we can get through it without having to do that. Because again, I wanted to be efficient here, right? Okay, so if we look at what I believe is the new equipment, and I'm kind of calling the stuff that is black new equipment. If that's correct, just say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is that new equipment installed to regulate the service for the surrounding customer? Let me put it this way. That new equipment is installed to regulate the service for the surrounding customers of Alta, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and just to be clear again for the record, if you look at the new building, there is a wall that seems to separate those two, what I call black or new equipment pieces. And my question on that you just answered was the new equipment in the left room.
So the new equipment on the right-hand side is right in the middle. That is the district regulator station. And on the very far right, that is the IHP meter set for Snowbird. In the smaller room, that is our valve bypass room.
Okay.
So if we needed to bypass any of the equipment for maintenance while maintaining service, we would do it in that room.
Well, then help me for a second, because as I look at the blue line, which is part of that left room, if I'm understanding that correctly, doesn't that serve Alta?
So it serves both. So the blue line that you see coming in is the high-pressure feed.
When you say coming in, is that from the designation that says to Sandy? Sorry,
Yes.
from Sandy?
Yeah, from Sandy.
Okay.
So that's our feeder line 62 coming into the station to feed all the equipment. So it goes through that bypass to kind of upward in the page, and that will feed the district regulator station, which in turn feeds the IHP meter set. Where you see the blue come back out to the bottom of the page, that's the line that goes to the cogen meter set for Snowbird, the high-pressure meter set.
Okay. So then, with respect to the Alta question, it's in reference to the orange line that comes out of the top part of that new equipment piece.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, the orange line is the IHP feed coming out of the district regulator station. So that's the 45-pound line.
Okay. But that is new equipment that is installed to regulate the service for Alta.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now I'd like to look at the next building over, the next room over in that building. So again, for orientation purposes, we see what I am calling a wall between the left side of the building and the right side of the building. So the bigger room on the right side is where I'm talking about now. So is it correct that that new equipment lowers the pressure and then meters the now IHP gas for service to Snowbird's cogen facilities?
So yes, there, you have the district regulator station in the middle. That brings it down
Is
to
there,
45
let me
pounds.
interrupt you for a sec. Is
Yeah.
there a way to better identify the district regulator? I see a WA number, but I don't think that is.
That's actually correct. That WA 1594. So those 3 runs, that is the district regulator station.
Okay, so the district, for the record, the district regulator station that's been testified to earlier and recently is identified in this exhibit as,
WA 1594.
okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So that district regulator station will bring it down to 45 pounds.
Okay,
And then you see the pipe continuing to the right and then through the meter set for Snowbird. So at that meter set, we have overpressure protection there for the meter set. So if anything were to fail, they have that additional reliability, but they take that pressure basically off of the regulator station.
okay. Thank you. Okay, this one is going to be interesting. In the same building, but now back to the smaller room to the left, there's what I call a T. The T is, in essence, where the blue line, the incoming line, and then the outgoing line. There is a T right in the middle of that that's attached to the new equipment. Do you see that?
Is it the T where I have the blue and then it's black?
Yes.
Okay.
So the blue line is T'd with a black line, which we've defined as new equipment.
Right.
Okay, so that's the T we're talking about here. That T directs the high-pressure gas service to the high-pressure meter in the building on the right of the diagram, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, here's a hypothetical. Let's be clear, so if you don't understand it, ask me and I'll go slow. So the hypothetical is about a possible equipment configuration, not what we're seeing here, but a possible one. So would the following equipment configuration serve Snowbird adequately, safely, and within the bounds of the tariff? And here's the configuration. Okay, if we changed what is currently, okay, starting with the new building and the bigger room to the right, changing what is identified as the IHP meter to a high-pressure meter, then carrying that over to, and we're looking at now the old building. So we're moving completely away from the new building. We're going to the far right of Exhibit 5.0. going over to the far right and the old building. With Exhibit 5.0, the blue line, as it approaches the old building up here, but comes down, and there's a right angle before it goes up. And I think you can reference it as, there's a number 1 with a circle. Do you see that?
I do.
So it's a right angle. If you were to extend at that point, or put in a T that carried that line over to the pink line, which is just directly across from it. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that would send gas to that would send high-pressure gas to the cogeneration facility under this hypothetical, right? Because we're starting with a high-pressure meter where the current IHP meter is, extending over, creating a T, so another extension off of the existing line to the cogen line. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm sorry, if up in the old building, and I'm just going to call that the black rectangle at the very right-hand upper corner, do you see that?
I do, yes.
Okay, if there were HP pressure-reducing equipment there instead of a meter, which then would flow to, for purposes of Snowbird's other non-cogen uses, would that have been adequate, safe, and within the bounds of the tariff?
Just give me a moment here.
Yeah, please take your time and let's get clarification if you need it. Yes, please. Thank you. It's part of the file. Yeah, thank you.
So for me to be clear, in the new building, to the right of the district regulator station, you're saying put the high-pressure meter set there. And then in the old building, in the right, we would put the IHP meter set for Snowbird. That would regulate down for their purposes on the IHP side, correct?
Yes.
As I'm looking at it, my initial feel is generally a high-pressure meter set requires, if you look in that far right, you can see that it occupies a decent amount of the existing space as it is. If we were to move that next to the district regulator station, I worry that there would not have been enough room for the district regulator station as we had it configured with the high-pressure meter set there.
And let me interrupt you for a sec, just for clarification. You're not speaking about the WA 1594, or are you?
Yeah, I would assume that we left the Wasatch 1594, WA 1594 in the new building.
Yes.
With the high-pressure meter set there, I don't think there would be enough room for all the equipment, the required equipment to do so.
Okay, so if I understand what you're saying is that the switching out a high-pressure meter for the IHP meter is space prohibitive in the new building. So the first predicate of the hypothetical would not structurally work?
Right, unless somehow we could have got more room, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you would have required more space for the structure itself. Okay. Okay, those are the questions I have right now. I would like to take a break. I would like to thank you first for, being patient with me, walking me through this, helping me not stumble too much through it. How about that? I'd like to take a break for until 9:45, so about 9 minutes, 10 minutes. Let's take a break until then, so we'll be in recess. Thank you. into all the details of it yet. Let's start with what I call the predicate, which is that in the new building, in the larger room to the right, we replace the, what's currently there, the IHP meter set with a HP meter. And then we have the pressure reducing equipment that we've identified as, well, wait, what have we identified WA1594 as?
That's the district regulator station.
Okay.
That brings us down to 45 pounds.
Okay. That's the better way to say it. Did I understand your testimony correctly that you couldn't, given the space configurations of the new building, you couldn't have a high-pressure meter and that WA1594 in the same room?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason for the clarification was I wondered if you were talking about the old building, that you couldn't do both of those in the old building. But we weren't talking about the high-pressure meter in the old building.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yep.
your testimony is space considerations or constraints don't allow a high-pressure meter relative to the WA1594, therefore the predicate to my hypothetical can't be satisfied.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any questions for any of the, any more questions for the panel. Thank you. Why don't we go to the division then?
The division does not have a prepared statement, but is available to answer questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Clark, any questions for the division?
No, thank you.
Okay, I don't have any questions either.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? No. Okay, we are adjourned.